energy, effort, and consistency, the right action, however much you're putting in, is exactly equal to the money that you're going to bring in. Hello, hustlers, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners, everybody out there trying to turn an idea into income. I want to welcome you to Serious Business, because it's serious, but it's not all that serious. Welcome to your weekly spot to get everything you need to know about making your business more profitable, but also having a lot more fun while doing it, because if this ain't fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Hey there, it's Suzanne Evans, and I'm so excited to have you joining us for our inaugural episode of podcast Serious Business. And I am here with my partner in crime and president of my company, Melonie Orr. Hey. So Melonie, you've been with the company how long?
Too long.
So I guess this is where we disclose everything, right? We disclose that we're cynical. We disclose that we've been doing this a long time. We disclose that we're married. We disclose that you were entrapped into this held a hostage, right?
Totally. Yep. It's the only way to start a business. Y'all, you got to get someone that you can take hostage.
Exactly. And honestly, it works beautifully because she had nowhere to go. We were working together at the time. We didn't have a physical office space 10 years ago when we started our business. And so we worked from home, and then we just never stopped working because we were at home.
It's true. That's very true. No, but I have been with the company for... Well, it's been 10 years. This summer is when I started kind of unofficially working with you, and officially working with you, it's been 9 years. Like getting paid a paycheck and working for you for free, it's been 10 years.
Okay, so
I've been working for you for free for 25 years.
So the topic of our first podcast is going to be how to get people to work for you for free. Mm-hmm. No, just kidding. But I will ask you this, because already you've just started this with such joy in your voice about all of this. What has been the most joyful part of working together and working with me and for this company?
Oh, having my cell phone on. See, if you could see the look that she gives you when your cell phones ring. No, I mean, I think that anybody who's working with someone who they're in a close relationship with, be it family or an actual life partner or spouse, your highs can be really high and your lows can be really low, because you'll say things to your family member and spouse that you would not say to an employee, which can be a really great thing. And it can also be a really enlightening thing. Let's leave it that way.
Like today, just like this morning, because we were getting dressed. I was actually going out for a quick hike, and Melonie was getting dressed to come into the office, and she had bought a new outfit. And I think she wanted me to say, "Oh my God, that's beautiful." And she came out, and I said, "Why are you dressed so dramatically?" Yeah. You probably wouldn't say that to an employee, but you can say it to a spouse. So you're going to have some fun with us on this podcast, because Melonie and I are going to join together a lot of the time. And most of the time, Melonie and I don't get along. We agree on very little. And yet we have lived together and been together for almost 25 years and worked together for almost 10 of those years. And so I think one of the interesting perspectives you will get as we go through topics on this podcast is, I am hell yeah to everything. I am the creator and the innovator, and I am the doer and the chaos maker and the blow things upper. And Melonie, you are...
Hell no. I say hell no to it all.
And why is that?
Because I think that I am the more realistic one.
And where has that gotten us?
Very far. Very far. Yeah, I mean, you have to have somebody who pokes holes in all of your excitement. That's how I believe it. I actually believe that my ability to say no to things pushes you further into greatness. So
I'll just say all of our employees call her the dream killer.
Yeah, dream killer.
But I think you need it. I think you need the way we like to describe it is you have the hot air balloon and she's the tether. And I think that's what makes it work. But I think it's also going to give you an interesting perspective as we have some guests on this podcast to talk about some topics, as we bring up some hot topics or some what I would call not so hot topics. They're just things you've got to know about business. And that brings me to what we're going to talk about today on today's podcast. And that is, how do you work? And what I mean by that is, we're talking about podcast being serious business, and business is serious business. And, for me, 10 years in, it has afforded me so many things. It's afforded me a terrific life. It's afforded me a lot of choices and opportunities. It's afforded me the ability to hire a lot of people who can then in turn take care of their families and have their dreams. So there is nothing funny about being committed and caring about your business. And on the other hand, being in the business coaching industry for so long, which is kind of where my business sits and what I guess you would consider my industry, these people take themselves way too seriously. And at the end of the day, and when I say the day, I mean the very last day, not many of us are going to look at each other and go, how did that launch go? Right? Oh, if I had only gotten 4 more affiliates, or, if I had only, done 1 more event. At the end of the day, business is a vehicle to what you really want in life. And one of my good friends, Larry Wingett, always says, don't run a business out of passion, right? Because the definition of passion is an uncontrollable emotion. Let your business feed and provide you the ability to do the things you're really passionate about. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about how do you work? What is your working style, and why are you working, and why are you doing what you're doing, and why are you not doing what you're doing? And I think that one of the key elements to being successful at anything is having an incredible work ethic. Now, you've heard this since you were a kid. This isn't the first time you've heard this, but I will tell you that we've heard it, but not many people are living by it, because you have to establish a value system for yourself and for your company, and you have to decide what that looks like for you. So I'm going to talk about, we've been doing some interviews this week.
We have.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
We could do a whole podcast series on how
gosh.
to apply for a job.
Yes. If you're out there and you're listening and you've interviewed with us, we're probably getting ready to talk about you.
I'm telling you, I didn't even tell you, I just got a crazy email from somebody who I sent a rejection letter to.
Oh,
who wanted to know why I would reject them because they were more than qualified.
Oh.
And I was like, why wouldn't you just say,
could I have feedback?
Could I get some feedback?
Yeah.
So
let's back this up. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Believe me, we're going to chase that bunny.
Yeah.
But I want to start with work ethic, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll share what mine is, but Melonie, what is your definition of work ethic, work style?
Getting the job done, no matter what. That's work ethic to me. You make a commitment and you follow through on the commitment and you get the job done, no matter what.
How many years did your parents own their company?
Oof. Well, my parents and my grandfather, remember it was 75 years, I think, when we shut it down. But my dad ran it for 50 something of those years. Right.
So Melonie's parents were entrepreneurial. They're deceased now, and the company is no more because kind of Uber and Lyft, they ran a transportation
company. It would
be
really interesting to see what happened to that company with the, advent of Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents were entrepreneurial. My dad was a farmer and owned a hardware store. And so your definition is getting the job done no matter what. So for me, my definition of work ethic is the ability to complete under the worst of circumstances, right? The ability to complete, or as you said, get the job done, even under the worst of circumstances. And, this is where I think we get to rant a little bit, maybe. One of the things I love about my business is I have a platform to say whatever the hell I want to say when I want to say it. And we've got some problems with, I think parents are teaching kids that, not teaching kids work ethic. I think that people are entitled, and I think quite often they think, well, I'm good at something, or I'm smart, or I went to this school, so I should be able to do it this way, or this should be easier. And I think when you're asking God, or you're asking whoever you're asking to win, or you're asking to accomplish something, or you're asking to make something happen, and you wake up the next morning and you're surprised when a shovel has been placed beside you, you should not be surprised, right? Nobody's going to move mountains for you. You're going to have to move them yourself. And so I think if somebody asks me, what is only one thing you can leave behind as you've taught about business and you've taught to business owners the last 10 years, it would be figure out how to work. Figure out how to outwork everybody. And in this time, in this age, in this internet bullshit of people talking about
A 4-hour work week.
a 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss doesn't fucking work a 4-hour work week.
Well, you know what? Let me correct you.
Call me, Tim.
I don't think
Call me, Tim. I'd love to talk to you.
I don't think you're
Give
right.
us a call, Tim.
I think he may, but I think that the thing that people miss is what took him from point A to B. He didn't always work a 4-hour work week. I do not believe for one second that people are building these enormous empires and working 4 hours a week. They may now because they've established a team, they've established a brand, they've established some flow in their business. But it is, and this is the lie that we're telling all these business owners who then feel entitled and cranky and pissed because they think it's not going their way, when in truth, they just have to get up every day and do their job.
Well, I'll say this. I'll use Jeff Walker as an example. I love Jeff Walker. I think he is, first of all, I think he's a really super business owner, but I think he's also a superhuman.
He is.
Really great
I
guy.
love him.
He talks about, he sent out an email about a year ago that I thought was so interesting. So Jeff is famous for the product launch formula.
Yeah.
So he is famous for teaching people to launch things online and through their email list. And he sent out an amazing email. I screenshotted it a year or so ago, saying, people forget I couldn't product launch until I had clients and made money.
Yeah.
And the way that I started my business was consulting and coaching, 12, whatever he said, I don't remember, but, a handful of people selling pretty much a high ticket item. And then I was able to evolve. And then I was able to get into building my database. And then I was able to launch. And so I find that so many startup entrepreneurs these days have confused work and work ethic. And work ethic is this understanding that you do things in a certain way and you make them happen in a certain way. And it takes a certain amount of energy and time and effort and consistency and persistence and energy. And then you can become creative. And one of the challenges, unless you've got a lot of VC money, I think one of the challenges, people coming out of the gate going, I want to be creative and do it different and be innovative. You don't have enough money to be creative. You just have enough money to work hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Peace out, people.
Thank you for listening.
That was a mic drop.
No, so back on the work ethic bandwagon. So whether you're an employee or an employer, you have to figure out what your work ethic is, and you have to have just like a company has somebody may call it a business mantra, somebody may call it a business mission. You have to be able to articulate what your work ethic is and what your working style is. And this takes us back to interviews we did this week. The person who got the job this week got the job because they had the best, of course, this is all in theory because you're interviewing people, but they had the best work ethic and they had the best ability to articulate their willingness and their desire and their hunger. And some of the interviews were shocking because in essence, people are saying, hey, choose me. I don't want to do a lot. And I'm not willing to do whatever it takes. And I'm so forward that I'll even say that to you out loud. But please hire me. And then you work your ass off to pay me every week.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that is part of what's happening in this world. And a lot of the people that we interviewed, that is the way that they acted. And instead of coming in and really not only just kind of showing their value, but really trying to understand how they can add value to your company and trying to showcase that, not just their own personal, what they want to get out of it, but really trying to be a part of the company and a part of showing them exactly like, listen, this is what I know I can do for you. And to be honest with you, the person who won out this week was the person who really came in and was like, I know I can do this, and this is how I know I can do it, and really was emphatic about it. Suzanne says this all the time, that he with the most certainty always wins the sale. And the person who got this job had the most certainty about the job. There was another candidate who had more certainty about what this person wanted to get out of the job and what this person's own own personal needs were, the person who got the position was the most certain about what they could add to the company and the company's value and the company's mission.
So here's the deal. Ask yourself right now, what is my working style? What is my work ethic, right? What's my working style? What's my work ethic? How would I articulate that to someone? Because you have to be able to articulate it within your business. And then here's the other thing is that why have we made work so bad? Why have we made working such a dirty word? I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, I woke up the other morning and like I was hit with 2 memes and like somebody posting on Facebook and they were like, this doesn't have to be hard. No, I think it does. Yeah, it does have to be hard. This shit is hard. That's why it works. Yeah. It's a piece of artwork we have sitting in our office. It doesn't have to be hard all the time. It doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to be a struggle. But at what point did we decide that it was okay? As a matter of fact, it was favored to go, if it's not easy, don't do it. If it's not in flow, right? Don't do it. It's such bullshit. You want to do the hard stuff. The reason that you get to where you get, and if you are at the top of your game, is because nobody else was willing to do the hard stuff. So if you're not doing something hard right now, you're a loser, to be honest. Call us about that.
Yeah. I mean,
send us a nasty email about that.
It's not about being miserable. It's about sometimes it's hard. And we have a really great business. And there are days where it's hard. Number one, it's hard because you don't get to wake up every day and just do something that you love. I know everyone's like, do something that you love. Well, in theory and in general.
If I woke up every day and only did something I loved, I would just eat all day long.
Yeah. I'll tell you, well, that's not 100% true, but I'll tell you what I don't love. Are
you saying I would do that?
I don't know.
I am doing that? What are you saying?
I don't know what I'm saying. But, I don't think like setting up this podcast, it is not fun and joy filled to sit and connect mics and hook it up and hit record and all of that stuff, right? These aren't necessary. This is work. So some of the stuff that you have to do on a daily basis. Is that really
the best example you have?
I know, it's not a great one. It's just right in front of me. It was so hard to
plug something in. Oh my God.
I'm
like
exhausted.
Some of you are just going to have to struggle. You'll have to plug something in. And when you plug something in, you have to unplug it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, but okay, smartass. You get my point. My point is that not everything is going to be the most exciting, adventurous thing that you've done in your life. And I think there is a lot of people out there who sell people on this belief that they can work 3 hours only doing the things that they love and that they shouldn't be burdened down by looking at cash flow reports. And then they wonder why their businesses are tanking. And sometimes it's not fun. It's not fun to look at numbers. It's not fun to go, okay, well, where do our next sales come from? How are we getting more leads?
Forget looking at numbers and sorry, but yeah, okay, that may be something somebody doesn't want to do. It's just hours in the day. People want to work 2 hours and make $2 million.
Yeah.
And you can do that eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you can.
There are days that don't work at all. And I have a team that does, and I'm appreciative of that and really blessed that we've built that. But in the beginning, I made exactly the amount of money equivalent to the effort I put in. So ask yourself right now, if you're listening to this podcast, how much money am I making? And I want you to take a breath and take a pause and then go, and how much energy and effort and time and consistency am I putting in? Because energy, effort, and consistency, the right action, however much you're putting in, is exactly equal to the money that you're going to bring in. Now, I'm not talking about how much time are you fiddle fucking on Facebook. I'm not talking about how much time are you doing busy work. I'm talking about how much time. I think it's Ryan Dice recently said, in the beginning of a business, 90% of the time should be spent on sales. Sales. 90% of the time should be spent on sales. So ask yourself right now, how much time and energy am I putting on getting a lead and then talking to that lead and then converting that lead? And if the answer is, I'm doing that maybe an hour a week, then the response is you're probably making $1,000 a month. And so it's a volume game. It's a numbers game. It's a sweat equity game. And the person who perspires the most in the beginning will aspire the most in the end. And bottom line is that any podcast, teleseminar, webinar, radio, book you're reading, anything that you're doing, anything that you're reading that tells you you can do a lot less and make a lot more, let me tell you, those people who wrote that or are saying it are working their butt off and getting rich off of your foolishness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So get out and work. Today, how many extra, what can you do extra? One of the reasons I went to one of my most successful, best years was I had a coach who told me, they said, get up an hour earlier for 1 year of your life, just 1 year of your life. And I hate to get up early, guys. I'm not a morning person. They said, get up 1 hour earlier for just 1 year of your life and work that 1 hour. Put everything you've got into the business, into revenue generating activities, and see what happens at the end of that year. And at the end of that year, I had gone from trying to start a business and making maybe $40,000 or $50,000, on the side as a side hustle, to making $300,000. He said, you will not recognize your life at the end of that year. So if you don't know that you're smart enough, if you don't know that you are quick enough, if you don't know that you're experienced enough, if you don't know that you are trained enough, if you don't know that you are skilled enough, I can tell you, you can make it all up with a little bit more effort than everybody is putting in. There is no traffic in the last mile, right? Mm-hmm. There is no traffic in the last mile.
A good one.
So
I think we have a quick way to wrap this up. It's like, if you're not willing to work at your job, you should go get a job. And if you go get a job, we want to tell you to be a better interviewer than the people we talk to. That's kind of the summation of today.
And really, if you can't be, even if your work ethic is that you don't want to work, come up with a really good lie to say in an interview. Take some improv classes so at least you can lie and say that you're willing to work, because that was our big aha from this week. But my big aha every day of my life in my business and what I'm doing is every client, every customer, every colleague that I talk to, the ones that are ahead, the ones that it's working, the ones that are making things happen are the ones that aren't afraid to put on their overalls and get up every day and go to work. And again, it's a famous saying, live a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. You don't work that way forever. That would end up being a problem. But you work that way to get where you want to go. And then you set up systems and teams and all of that. So then you can work kind of how you want to. And so if you want to have a successful business and you want to be serious in business, then you have to show up in a serious way. And that means work. And the entire time you're doing the work, have fun, enjoy it, laugh your ass off. We'll see you on the next episode of Serious Business. Get to work. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast, Serious Business. Please follow us on Instagram at The Driven Inc. and make sure to check us out on Facebook at Driven Inc. as well. Subscribe to this podcast. You don't want to miss a single episode, and tell a friend, because good friends share good stuff. See you next week.